A couple of local cops figured they'd roll out the red carpet for me, South Carolina style. They tied me to a lamp post right in the middle of town, putting on a whole show like I was some nobody. What they didn't realize, they were messing with the wrong guy. And this little stunt, it was about to blow up in their faces. Let's rewind a bit. Here's the deal. Name's Danny, 54, been around the block more times than I can count. Just moved to this middle-of-nowhere town to take on the badge as chief of police. Not my first rodeo. Seen my fair share of trouble. But this place? It had a feel to it, one I couldn't quite put my finger on. Everyone knew each other. And let's just say, new faces weren't exactly welcomed with open arms. Didn't take long to notice something off. The cops here? They had their own little rulebook, if you catch my drift. Before even reporting in, I decided to take a stroll, get a feel for the place. Just me, my old jacket and a worn-out cap, blending in like any regular guy. Walked into a local cafe, the kind of place that's been standing longer than I have. And the second I stepped inside, eyes were on me. You know that look, the you don't belong here kind. In the corner, two cops were kicking back, laughing their heads off. And from the way they kept glancing at me, I was the joke. They sized me up already deciding I was a nobody. Their badges gleamed under the dim lights. But their manners? Not so much. I ordered a coffee, played it cool just to see how they'd react. No need to reveal who I was, not yet. This was just recon. And then, right as I was about to walk out, one of them called out, loud enough for the whole place to hear. "Hey, old man, you lost or something? 'Cause you sure don't look local." I turned just enough to meet his eyes, my face unreadable. "Just passing through," I said. But they weren't buying it. The tall one, Jake, smug grin and all, leaned back in his chair. "Well, maybe you should keep passing. Strangers don't last long around here, if you get my drift." I just shrugged, walked out, but trust me, I felt their eyes on my back the whole way down the street. Something told me this job was about to be way more than just paperwork and meetings. Next morning, I decided to go for a run just outside of town. Needed to clear my head, get a feel for the place. Crisp air, quiet roads, nothing out of the ordinary. But halfway through, a patrol car pulled up beside me. And who else but my new best friends, Jake and his partner, Mike. Jake leaned out the window, smirking. "Hey, runner. You lost." The way he said it, you'd think I'd wandered onto private property with a giant no trespassing sign on my back. His partner, Mike, a brick wall of a guy who looked like he could bench press a truck, chimed in. "Yeah, you sure you're welcome around here?" I slowed my pace, kept my voice level. "Just going for a run. Pretty sure that's still allowed, right?" Mike grinned, one of those I know something you don't kind of looks. Allowed? Maybe. But strangers don't exactly get the warmest welcome. Especially the ones who don't know our rules. Before I could ask what that was supposed to mean, they were already out of the car. Jake stepped in way too close, hands patting down my pockets like he had a right. I took a deep breath, staying calm. They rummaged around, throwing smug glances at each other, like this was some kind of game. Then Jake pulled out a random scrap of plastic from my pocket, his eyes lighting up with way too much excitement. Well, he sneered, holding it up like a prize. "Look what we got here." I just stared at him, not giving him the reaction he wanted. It was obvious they had this whole little setup planned. I'd had about enough of their hospitality, but I knew better than to blow my cover. They had no idea who I was, and this wasn't the moment for the big reveal. So I kept my cool, even as they grabbed me by both arms and dragged me down the street, like I was some stray dog they'd found wandering around. They marched me straight to the town square, right up to a lamp post in the middle of it all. Folks were out, doing their usual morning routine. Some stopped, curious. Others didn't seem surprised at all, like this was something they'd seen before. Jake and Mike put on their little show, cracking jokes like they were stand-up comedians. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jake announced with a mock bow. "We got ourselves a big city troublemaker here." Mike chimed in. "Yep. Bet he's got a few tricks up his sleeve, or maybe in his pockets." They tied my hands around that lamp post, all dramatic-like, making sure the whole town had a front row seat. People started recording, laughing, shaking their heads. And Jake? He was eating it up, smirking, soaking in the attention. What they didn't realize, the joke was about to be on them. By the next morning, videos of their little stunt were all over the internet. People were talking, and they wanted answers. Some thought I was a drifter who'd pissed off the wrong people. Others were straight up calling out the cops. Who is this guy, and why does he look like he's stuck in some old Wild West showdown? Local news picked up the story. Journalists showed up, cameras rolling, pushing through the crowd. One reporter cornered a bystander. Did anyone see this man commit a crime? The answer? A shrug. Beats me. Looks like the cops were just having some fun. Jake and Mike were still riding their high, strutting around like kings of the town square. If only they knew how fast this was spiraling out of control. The call came early the next morning. Main office. Higher-ups had caught wind of the mess, and let's just say, they weren't happy. This wasn't some small-town prank anymore. This was a full-blown scandal. I walked into the station calm. Uniform crisp, badge shining. This wasn't just another workday. This was the day. Jake and Mike strolled in, laughing, completely unaware. Then they saw me, in uniform, and man, did they freeze. I let the silence stretch, watching them squirm. Then I finally spoke, voice steady. We got a problem, gentlemen. And you're right in the middle of it. Jake tried to stammer out some excuse. I held up a hand. Save it. Then I pulled out my phone, hit play on the video. Their little performance, playing for the whole station to see. In case anyone's confused, I said, holding the phone up, this is what went down. These two thought they could have some fun with a nobody, without even bothering to check who I was. Silence. Then, Jake did something I didn't expect. He squared his shoulders, smirked, and said, "It's just how things work here. Tradition, you know? Keeps people in line." I stared at him. So, your tradition is humiliating strangers in the middle of town? He shrugged. It's harmless fun. That was it. Game over. I pulled out 2 termination forms. Signed them. Held them up. Jake. Mike. Hand over your badges. You're done. No cheers. No applause. Just the heavy weight of reality sinking in. The town had been turning a blind eye for too long. Not anymore. This was just the beginning.